see tough enforcement with respect to Facebook?
We will see tough enforcement, period.
Period. So let's talk about that law. Obviously, the law doesn't go into effect until 2020. That was a built-in delay so that legislators could further tweak the law. But you and I sat down in Sacramento just a few weeks ago, and the thing that I had heard in advance of our chat was that so many of these companies were working to weaken the law as part of this process. Is that a fear of yours?
That's part of the democratic process, right? If you don't like the law, you try to make changes to it. Some perceive that as weakening, others will see it as making it better. All I know is that we're going to try to make sure that when the law takes effect next year, we're ready to enforce. We're going to try to have the highest standards we can. I'm actually supporting legislation, as you saw from Senator Hannah Beth Jackson, that would increase the ability of consumers to protect their rights, because right now, under the law as it stands, the only effort that any consumer can undertake to protect their privacy rights is if there is a breach of that information, the data that that company has collected on you. You can sue for that breach, but you can't sue, for example, if someone is selling your information outside of your consent. I have to be the one that tries to enforce that, and there's only one AG for 40 million people. If consumers can't enforce their rights, you have to ask if those are truly rights.
Yeah, so you want to give people the right to sue because you just don't think you can bring all the cases?
Not that I don't think I can. I know I can. There's no way that I can go after everyone who violates the law. I have to try to target to make sure that I'm not only going after someone who's committed a wrong, but I deter others from trying to do it in the future. That means I'm going after the bigger cases that make noise, and I have to leave some of the smaller cases to the side. If consumers in those smaller cases have no rights of their own to try to enforce their rights, then they really don't have a right.
Sure, but that private right of action is one of the things that the companies have lobbied so fiercely against over the past couple of years, even beyond California. So I guess that gets me back to the original question here, which is that, do you think that Facebook and Google and its peers are going to try to lobby this law to death?
There will certainly be lobbying, and people will try to make changes. I'm not going to characterize what one or another is trying to do. I simply will tell you that we're going to try to make sure that when this law starts up next year, it's as strong as it can be, so we can give everyone a sense that they really do have rights over their information on the internet.
What about Washington? They're obviously trying, I guess, to work on a federal privacy statute. I guess the fear there potentially is that they could preempt what California has done.
Again, the feds, if they act, we hope what they'll do is they'll be constructive. They'll take a look at what others are doing, whether it's the Europeans or California, and they'll try to build on that rather than try to destroy the protections that we're providing at least to 40 million people in California. But at the same time, understanding that to date there is no data breach notification law at the federal level, and it's been around for, the idea has been around for over 17 years, I don't imagine that before we start to implement our law next year that the feds will have taken action.